Okay, this is going to be a quick lab on Lab 4. It's not a real complicated lab, but I just want to kind of give you a guide. I'm probably not going to have a lab for every, I'm sorry, a video for every lab because you don't really need a video for every lab. But because this is the first time that we are creating a data set, I'm going to walk you through it. So I'm going to turn my PF show on for no particular reason other than um, I just want to see my PF keys at the bottom for some reason. Yeah, it's not really important. Okay, so I'm working this from the lab, directly from the lab that I posted for you. So we start at 3.2 from the main option menu. And we're going to want to allocate a data set. Okay. Make sure that this is in the project, your user IDs in the project. This is the library is going to be a part of. Now, the group is not really important, but you can just say ICTN 3210. If you don't do that, it's not going to hurt anything. And the type, you can just leave blank. Now, make sure you have an A down here, lowercase, uppercase. It doesn't make any difference because we're going to allocate. What allocate means is you're going to tell the operating system what the parameters of the data set that you're going to create are. So I'm going to allocate it. Oh, I guess I do need a type in there. Inner required field. Oh, I have to name it. I have to name it. Sorry. I think I told you to name this one. It says Lab 7 in the book. Let's just name this Lab 4. Doesn't really make any difference, but just name it. In the book, it says Lab 7 because that was the 7th lab for that course. But let's just say Lab 4. Okay, so these are the parameters that you have to put in. Volume serial, let's just leave this blank, right? And the reason I'm leaving it blank is because what the operating system is going to do, understand you've probably got tens of thousands of users on this system, right? Tens of thousands of users on this one physical system. It's going to allocate a volume. A volume is a physical thing, and we'll cover this in the I think the lecture on data sets is lecture 5, chapter 5. But a volume is a physical thing. It's not logical. Volume is physical. It has a physical location, and the operating system is going to pick one based on the availability of space. So just leave that blank. That's going to cause you fewer problems if you do. Now, we're going to put tracks here because that is the parameter that we want to use, or the denomination, if you will, that we want to use to determine the space on the hard drive. The hard drives are very similar to hard drives in your PC in terms of how they're physically defined, but they're just a lot bigger and a lot faster. We don't need an average record unit. Now here we're going to put 10 for the primary quantity, and we're going to put 5 for the secondary quantity. Okay, and that is the amount that we're going to use of storage, right? So we're going to use 10 tracks, and if we fill those up, we're going to use 5. Okay. Directory blocks is going to be 10. The record format is going to be fixed block, right? Fixed block. We'll talk about record lengths later. A lot of these parameters are going to be explained to you in chapter 5, but for right now, just take them on faith that these are correct. The record length is going to be 80 bytes. Block size is going to be 0. And instead of what it has in the book, PDS, let's put library. That's for extended PDS. And again, you'll find out about that in chapter 5. But extended PDS has a little more flexibility than PDS. And it's just kind of a superior technology. And I think that's all we have to do. And hit enter. And you can see up here on the right, your data set's allocated, okay? So I've got a data set named Lab4. Now, we've got to put a member in this empty data set. This is probably why it's good you have video to explain this. So we're going to go to option 2 from the main menu, which I'm going to edit one of my data sets, okay? And I'm going to put here my user ID, KC02071. You put your ID there. And I say in the book, your ID, the Lab4 and new member. There are a couple of ways you can add a new member. This is probably the easiest. Put single quote. And the reason we have to put single quotes, even though it's ours, is because this member doesn't exist yet. It doesn't exist, so it wouldn't see. There's not a new member, so it's going to give you a not found if you're trying to look for it in your library, which is what you would be doing if you didn't have the quotes there, looking for it in your library. Okay. And our member is going to be named new member. Enter. Now, type some verbiage here. F3 out of that. And you read the lab and print the screens. I didn't tell you the screens to print, but you can see them as you work the lab, which screens that I want you to print out. And it just tells you how to do 2 more data sets, following the process, and just print the screen of the finished data set, right? Like here, when you have it. Right here. Just show me you have a Lab4, Lab4.2, Lab4.3, and print it out and write it up. Write up what you did. And that's it. Now you know how to create a data set. Now we can start putting things in data sets. We can work with some recs, we can do some jobs, we can run some jobs, etc. There we go.